Hey, Andrew. Yeah. Sweet. We've just got a couple of days off on Monday off. We're close. There's a bit more packing to do. Mitch is ready to Yeah. Painting, carpet removal. Got buildings and floor sets. Yeah. So we're excited and we're exhausted.
Yeah.
You know what that feels like.
I do. It was ridiculous last year.
Have things slowed down for you now?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I go down there.
Yeah, great.
I've actually got this week off. I'm going down to Starlight. Yeah, I've got a couple of focus on there. I think what's the garage where and see that. Yeah. And then there might be mistakes too. That'll be a bit.
Just in terms of.
You'll have plenty of time for conversation both during the service and after the morning tea. So if I've interrupted something, then please pick it up again later. Welcome. We gather as we do every Sunday morning on the land of the Wurundjeri and Bunurong people of the Kulin Nation. It's good to be here, and we acknowledge that our enjoyment of this place, our occupation, if you like, of this land owes much to the custodianship of those original inhabitants. And so as we begin, we pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging. Welcome to worship. I want to make a special welcome this morning because when we sing in just a little while, you're going to see two additional musicians on the platform. So Chris, who will be playing the flute, and Michael, who will be playing the clarinet. And for the previous Hartwell people, that's nothing new, but for the Avenue people, that will be a real delight. So thank you very much for joining us this morning. The theme that we're exploring this morning is the theme. It's really interesting because it's heavily weighted on this side in terms of population this morning. This side certainly wins, and I know why. It's because our live streaming camera is on this side, and they all want to be seen. Isn't that right? Our theme this morning is what matters, and as I was thinking about that, it's been a real live theme for Heather and I over the past few weeks, as it would have been for Tim and Julie over the months before Christmas, because we're in the process of getting ready to move, and the sort of shortened deadline. Welcome, Mike. Mike's. Let's do some other special welcomes this morning. So you can actually turn the live streaming off, I reckon, because Tim Purdy from Tasmania and Michael from Sydney are our two regular online viewers, and they're both here. It's wonderful to see you. The sort of shortened deadline that we had for our move because of my impending surgery has meant that we've spent the last few weeks sorting things out. And that question of what matters has been at the forefront. You know, for instance, does this VHS tape of the 1990 Collingwood Essendon Grand Final, which Collingwood won, does that matter more than this VHS tape of the 1989 Grand Final between Hawthorn and Geelong?
Oh, that one.
Hawthorn, Collingwood? It really doesn't matter because both of them made the cut, whereas Strawdy missed out. What about these? These are especially for you, Anne and John. Does the grand final record from 1966...
Oh, that's worth a fortune.
Is it really? I'm sure it's worth more than the 1971 grand final record. St Kilda won that one, they lost that one. Yeah, Hawthorn, St Kilda. St Kilda, Collingwood. What about this one? This is the draft order of service from Advent 3 on Sunday the 12th of December 1993. D'Ambrosio family. The children's segment was done by Trevor D'Ambrosio. The readers were Nick Wheatman and Roy Clark. There was an item by Loris McLean. The sermon was delivered by Julie Adams. The communion was led by Lola Adams. Yeah. And the music was done by Ben, Fiona, Brooke, and Lee. How about that? That's a classic. Well, I'm sorry, but it's been thrown. What matters? What matters? And I've got to say that some things matter a lot more to me than they do to Heather. I guess it depends on your perspective. Some things matter more to one person than to another. One person prefers it this way, another person prefers it that way. So in asking the question, what matters this morning, I'm actually wanting to come from a slightly different perspective. And I'm wondering, as our two communities begin to live together and to get to know each other, I'm wondering what it is, what are the things that matter that we hold in common? It seems to me that if communities are to function effectively and cohesively, there would need to be some common things that matter. Values, qualities, likes and dislikes, hopes, experiences, dreams and aspirations. Not that everything would be held in common, community, I would think. But there, there probably would be just some things that matter. that we share and hold together. Things that most, if not all, members of the community would affirm. I wonder how many of those things that matter in common does a community like this need, or that a little this morning as we gather for just the second time as the Hartwell and the Avenue communities, beginning this wondrous journey of coming together. And as we embark on that journey, I invite you to reflect this morning on what matters for you. Barb is going to come and light our Christ candle and then bring us the reading, a reading which invites us to reflect on this theme of what matters. Thanks, Barb. After Barb's after the reading, the musos will lead us in our first song.
Our reading is from Isaiah, chapter 58, verses 1 to 9. Shout out, do not hold back. Lift up your voice like a trumpet. Announce to my people their rebellion, to the house of Jacob their sins. Yet day after day they seek me, and delight to know my ways. They ask of me righteous judgment. They delight to draw near to God. Why do we fast? But you do not see. Why humble ourselves? But you do not notice. Look, you serve your own interest. You fast only to quarrel and to fight, and to strike with a wicked fist. Such fasting as you do today, you will not make your voice heard on high. Is such the fast that I choose, a day to humble oneself? Is it to bow down the head like a bulrush, and to lie with sackcloth and ashes? Will you call this a fast, a day acceptable to God the Lord? Is not this fast the free, and to break every yoke? Is it not to share your bread with the hungry, to bring the homeless poor into your house? When you see the naked, cover them like the dawn, and your healing shall spring up quickly. Your vindicator shall go before I am.
This morning, hymn really will be familiar to everyone. This is the tune of "To God Be the Glory," so don't be deceived by the words on the screen.
I want to invite you into just a brief period of centering, I guess, and some reflection. So I invite you to just make sure you're sitting comfortably and find a nice comfortable position, and maybe take a few deep breaths, sort of center yourselves into this moment. As you allow your breathing to just settle into its normal rhythm, don't force it at all, just allow yourself to breathe as feels natural for you. I invite you to bring to mind 2 or 3 people who matter to you. Family, friends, associates. You may find yourself wanting to smile as you bring these people to mind. Allow yourself to do so. And send your love to them. You might like to bring to mind a situation or a condition or a place somewhere in the world that matters to you. Hold that place, those people, that situation in your mind and heart. And send your love to that place or those people. As you continue to breathe, you might just imagine that every out-breath is expressing your love to the people and places you are holding in your heart. invite you now to bring to mind 2 or 3 people in this room. Don't vacillate. Stay with the 2 or 3 people who have just come initially to your mind, and hold them in your heart and in your mind, and breathe out your love to them. And gently recall the people, the places, and the situations that you have called to mind today. People, the places, and the situations that matter to you. And consider how you might carry these people or places with you during the week ahead. When you are ready, take 3 deep breaths and return gently to this space. I hope it's not going to be a jarring sort of shift for you, but I'm going to invite you now to talk with some of the people around you. But just for 1 or 2 minutes, not for a long period of time, turn to the people who are near you and just have a chat about the things that matter most to you in life. If we're lucky, we might find that there are former Hartwell attenders talking with the Avenue attenders, and that would be a really good way of sharing some stuff together. So if we can engineer that, that'd be great, but don't make it contrived. Just turn to people who you feel comfortable talking with and have a chat about the things that matter to you.
Good to see you, mate.
I think that
she's probably focused more on those sorts of things than so she says come out of school. One of the best Australian Hotel Association's best regional restaurants. Very different, really good. Like one of the cleaners. Oh, he is, yeah. Cleaners, his son's been president. I've been there. The food looks amazing. The way they still go on.
So this actually works as another restaurant.
He works once on the water. He works hard. He works 6 days a week at the moment, so he does real long hours. He's had a pretty dysfunctional boy. He's had a strong very developing life. So brother. The difference in
Yeah, so that's a good experience.
Seeing all this.
Well, thank you. I'm going to just wind up your conversation. And the museums are going to lead us with a song that will take us into the celebration of community.
Here they got it. It's got Ireland on it.
I think we can stay seated.
You will be, it sort of moves around, and but often it's sort of on the side here, and the communion is set on the little table in the front here. But I thought I'd move the communion table back into its sort of traditional position, not quite, because traditional position would have been up there with 3 seats ranged behind it, but it's almost, let's say, conventional position, because it begs the question of what matters. Does communion matter to us, and if so, how do we demonstrate that? Does my use of the smaller, I understand that for some people that would be true, that would be the case. But communion does matter, and we affirm that by celebrating it at least every Sunday. And it's traditionally occupied the central place in our worship service, central both physically and central in terms of the order of service. And that has traditionally been a demonstration of the fact that it is the central part of our gathering. But why does it matter? Is it that the emblems are somehow magically imbued with a special power that means we are suddenly put right with God and the world? Some might say that that is so, but that's not really why it matters to me. Why communion matters to me is because first, we are participating in a rite or a ritual, if you like, that people of faith have acted out over thousands of years, many thousands of years in Jewish households. And it's significant that we stand in that heritage, connect with that history of faith, with its affirmation of love and justice and generosity and grace. So that's one reason why it matters to me. Another reason why it matters to me is because it's something we do together. I don't think you can participate in communion, and particularly the way we serve it in the context of Churches of Christ, you can't really participate in it without being aware of the others around you as they pass you the plate or help you with breaking the bread or whatever it is. You can't really do it without being somehow connected to the people around you. And maybe without holding those others, and that might include past communities as well as present communities, holding those others in your minds and in your hearts. All of them. The ones you love and the ones you find it a little harder to love. We're all in this together. Because together, breaking bread and drinking grape juice, we proclaim our reconciliation to each other and to our Creator. Not reconciled because we share in communion, or not reconciled because of some mystical powers in the emblems, but reconciled because of the life and death, the ministry and teaching of Jesus, who on the night before he was betrayed took the bread and blessed it, and took the wine and blessed it, and shared it with his friends, his community, with the hope, probably stronger than that, in the belief that his life mattered. So we shall do the same this morning. Let us pray. This bread and this wine, with all of the invested meaning that it has from the life and death, the ministry and teaching of Jesus, we sense that these emblems represent for us the generosity of your grace, the enormity of your love, for us and for all the world. And we share together, knowing that as individuals and communities, we are somehow redeemed because of that. Well, it's our practice here to take a piece of bread as we're served in our seats, and then when the cup comes around to hold the cup, and we'll drink together. I couldn't help but notice as I was just standing there that the cost of the grand final record in 1966 was 20 cents. 66 was the first year we had decimal currency, so this would have been the first year of decimal currency.
20 cents was expensive.
20 cents was expensive, was it? So it's the $15 they charge now.
I'll give you 20 cents for it.
Tell me the money.
I've been doing a bit of reading lately about creation spirituality as a broad heading and sacred earth theology. Reading authors like Matthew Fox and Diamond O'Murchu and Bruce Sanguin and Diana Butler Bass and if you've had a chance to read my article in the Friendly Word, you'll have a bit of an idea of the theme that is emerging for me out of that reading. It's a theology of the sanctity and the connectedness of all life. A theology in which the spirit of the Creator is irrevocably embedded in all that is created. Meaning that all created things are holy and sacred. Holy not because of anything the creature does or claims, but holy and sacred simply because the embedded Creator is holy. In my article, I refer to some writing by Tricia Gates Brown, who develops the concept of species loneliness, a state where human beings have so isolated themselves from the non-human species in creation that they have lost a sort of a core avenue of connection to their soul, to their own soul and to the soul of creation. And Brown calls for humanity to learn again how to cooperate with creation, rather than to compete with creation, perhaps, in order to restore the balance that the universe craves and restore the harmony that the Creator confers. It seems to me that we've been granted a glimpse of this creation spirituality, this oneness, this kindred spirit of all creation in the midst of the horror of our summer of bushfires. We've become so keenly aware, I think, of the imbalance of creation, and perhaps of the contribution that humanity has made to bringing about some of that imbalance. We've also seen images of things like koalas drinking from water bottles held by fireys. And we've read stories of wombats. So in the midst of, on the one hand, this horrible awareness of imbalance, comes this evidence of connectedness, of the fact that there is a web of life that we ignore at our own peril, it seems to me. This is creation spirituality in which all life is connected, all life is holy, all life is sacred, and all life is imbued with the spirit of the Creator. Everyone and every created thing is just as holy and just as sacred as every other one and every other created thing. There is no pecking order, no hierarchy of beings, no favoured species. Everything is simply holy. And it's challenging because it must change the way we view the world. No longer is it reasonable for us to hold a theology in which human beings are given dominion over the rest of creation. No longer is it reasonable for us to hold that some people are better or holy than others because of their choice of lifestyle or gender identity or some inappropriate behaviour. I could say much more about this, but I don't want to take more time than we have this morning. But I do want to leave you with one word to take away from this morning. A word that is my word for the year, if you like. And that word is harmony. Harmony. It's a word with profound theological underpinnings. In the Genesis stories of creation, when the Creator declares that which has been created as good, it carries the force of creation being in perfect harmony, perfect balance. The interconnection of all living things, the intricate web of life, is in perfect balance, in complete harmony. In the stories of the ancient Hebrew people, it doesn't take the human species long to disturb that harmony. And it seems like we've been... Is it a pipe dream? This matters to me. Is it possible to dream that such harmony become our reality? Is it worth even considering? Well, it does at least seem much more appealing than the alternative, a world in which human greed and hubris generates imbalance and disharmony. So I wonder if maybe, just maybe, if we and those within our networks or our spheres of influence can determine to seek harmony in all our interactions with creation, our interactions with each other, and our interactions with nature, and our interactions with the whole world around us. If we can determine to seek and live out harmony, we just might turn things around. What matters? Harmony matters. And I reckon it's worth a shot. Cole has some information he'd like to share, which is particularly relevant, I guess, to the Avenue component of the gathering. And Carolyn might have a few things to share with us as well. We've got some news and stuff that you want to bring us if you want to. So after Cole, Carolyn, you can...
Thanks, Doug. I think I'm going to be Carolyn this morning too, so if that's okay.
Well, I'm sorry to tell you that.
You'd rather, I get that. This is, for the Avenue community, you may recall at the AGM we had back in November, that we talked a bit about some of the work the board has been doing over the past year, particularly as it affects our constitution. Those of you who have seen a copy of our constitution, you can sort of tell how old it is just by looking at it. It's in this really old sort of font. So it has been, it served us very well for many years, but the board has been going through a process over the last year or so of looking to bring the constitution in line with, I guess, current best practice around governance, around risk management, and the, I guess, the growing sort of regulatory framework that we live in. An email earlier in the week that the new constitution has been finalised. A copy has already been sent to most members, or at least most member households. If you haven't received one, if you'd like to receive a hard copy, please just let Barb know in the office, and we can organise that. One of the key, I guess, recommendations from the board that is reflected in the Constitution is that we're proposing to incorporate as a community. So we will become an incorporated body, which means we will be administered, is it Community Affairs? Victoria? Consumer Affairs, thanks. So Consumer Affairs, Victoria look after that, those incorporated bodies. So that's sort of the crux of what we're proposing. And in the light of that, we'll be holding a special general meeting 3 weeks from today. So Sunday the 1st of March at 11:15. So straight after the service, we'll grab a cuppa. Now, this process isn't news to the Hartwell community because they updated their constitution and started progressing towards being an incorporated body a few weeks ago. So hopefully we can follow their example and head down a similar path. Now, if you've got any questions about the constitution, about the process, please feel free to have a chat with myself, with Carolyn, with Danny, and with Julie, or for that matter, anyone on the board, but those 4 people would be more than happy to answer any questions. And there has been quite a bit of work that's gone into that. I'd really like to acknowledge Dave's contribution in bringing us to this place, and our other David as well, and also Danny. The 3 of them have worked really hard to make this happen for our community. It's an exciting step for us, and it's an exciting step on the journey of our 2 communities becoming one too. So please have a look through it. It's not too long, and hopefully you'll be able to come along on the 1st of March. Are there any quick questions at the moment? Otherwise, over the next few weeks, happy to. No? Okay. Lola, did you have something? No? Okay. So that's one notice for today, and then just in terms of what's coming up over the next couple of weeks, it's all happening at the Goodwin's house this week. So on Wednesday night, they're going to get together and do a bit of thinking about the year and plan some events. So everybody, well, all women are welcome to that.
I'd like to go out. I'd like to go out that night.
Yeah, so you'll have to do something else, Dave. And then next Sunday in the morning at 10 a.m. there's a Taizé service here, which will be led by some of the Hartwell folk. And then in the evening is glass half full at the Goodwins as well for 6 p.m. Please let Carolyn know, or Dave, if you can attend. And I'm sure Dave will then let Carolyn know. Just tell Carolyn. So hopefully you're able to make it to that. And then on Wednesday week is our first Connect gathering for the year. So that'll be 7:15 here. And a few of us got together last night and did some talking and thinking about that, which was really good. So you're very welcome to join us on Wednesday week. That's all. Oh, there was one more notice. Particularly for those who are new to this site, just want to let you know that we do have an internal toilet, which is it's a bit of a secret, but if you just go out those doors and turn left, there's a unisex toilet there, which particularly in the colder months is a bit more pleasant than walking down the back of the hall. So just for your information, and for any sorry people that weren't aware. Anyway. And so now we'll hand over back to the musos.
So the closing song is All Are Welcome. Music on the screen now, there we go. And I think let's stay seated. Together our blessing, may the road rise to meet you. May the road rise to meet you. May the wind be always at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face. The rain falls soft upon your fields. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the palm of his hand. May God hold you in the palm of his hand.